What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Zenless Zone Zero's version 1.6 special program, Among the Forgotten Ruins. I'm really interested in seeing what is in store for this version, seeing as despite being just 1.6 rather than like 2.0 or something, we're getting a major character in the form of S-rank Anby. But because of that, I'm not going to delay things any further. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and let's get into this.
Oh no, I'm gonna be late. Why is this camp so confusing? Huh? Is that the sound of a harmonica I hear? Could
Okay,
this be
so
the
we're going
place?
with this style.
Over here.
Why is Trigger
Hello,
playing a
Proxies,
harmonica?
welcome.
Relax, Mr. Z. Your heart's racing.
Huh?
Oh, okay, that's her voice.
Could you
I
tell?
don't think I've ever heard
So
Trigger's voice
sorry,
before
Miss
now.
Trigger.
Hello, Proxies. I'm Trigger from the new Eridu Defense Force. Position,
Hello.
Sniper with Oval Squad.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anby from the Cunning Hares. Position, official member.
There's no
Interesting that they
strict
had
format for
her
the
name
introductions or
tag as
anything,
Soldier
but
Zero.
Anyway, welcome. Now, without further ado, let's get started.
All right,
I saw
straight
my
to the
squad
demo.
mates
Well,
buried
trailer.
in the rubble.
Oh,
I'm not sure how I survived.
oh, geez.
But
Okay.
now, I'll bring this to an end with my own hands.
Wow.
Dying in
All
place
right.
of Soldier 11 was my duty.
Oh,
You are.
It's been a long time.
that has some implications.
I'm Anby, captain of Silver Squad.
She was captain.
Your friend's
Okay.
beyond saving, Sniper. Silver Company's revival is imminent. No one can stop it.
Okay.
This isn't right.
Whoa, fighting
If they
two at
truly
once.
wanted
Okay.
to secretly revive this technology, they wouldn't need to go through so much trouble.
We are sisters, in a way. Please.
God, I can't believe we're getting this lore
I
so
don't want to
quickly.
lose anything or anyone important to me again.
Hell yeah. Cool to see them back to back like that.
Our very existence is evil.
That's a
But we don't
fucking
have to become the
line.
mistake they made us to be. Silver Company's legacy ends with me.
Wow. They're going hard already.
If
What the fuck is that?
All of us will.
Hi, Poltra.
The departed didn't leave us wounded, or with a heavy cross to bear, but with a melody. Let the wind be the opening notes.
All right.
I've got your back. Leave it to me. As a
God,
sniper,
it
you
goes
have
without
failed in your
saying, but
duty.
everyone's animations are amazing.
Fear, suffering, despair.
Ooh.
This is not
Hugo?
exactly new Eridu tech.
Stay alert.
Oh my god, we're getting so much here.
The world was never fair to begin with. You honestly believe?
Oh my
you
god,
stand a
what
chance
is this
against all
patch?
cops?
If the world's destined to be destroyed,
What?
if the ending could be rewritten,
How are we getting
what would you be
Mockingbird
willing to
stuff
give up?
as well? Oh my god! Okay, no, I need to go through that. So we open the trailer with Anby talking about her past, and presumably how she ended up separate from Oval Squad and no longer part of the Defense Force. Her entire squad died. Or at least she believed them to, because I believe Soldier 11 was part of her squad. But apparently something horrible happened that she doesn't even fully know how she survived. She saw all of her squad mates buried in the rubble, and it presumably separated them, in all likelihood believing her entire team to be dead, and in all likelihood most of them are. Anby probably just ended up leaving and going to the streets and eventually becoming a Cunning Hare. But it seems that there is this idea of Silver Squad being revived in some way, shape, or form, and Anby seems to be against this. She says that she'll bring this to an end with my own hands. And obviously this is how Soldier 11 and Trigger will tie into things. If Anby is basically stepping up to deal with her past and potentially right some wrongs, inevitably she's going to cross paths with them again. But then the way she continues that by saying dying in place of Soldier 11 was my duty is very interesting, because it implies that when she's saying this line, she thinks Soldier 11 is dead. Either that, or perhaps Soldier 11 is in some way doomed to die going forward, and Anby is stepping up to take her place now because that once was her duty. And then they allude to an obvious reunion happening here. And it's here that we get the explicit confirmation that Anby was the captain of her squad called Silver Squad. But then as we shift to looking at this one ethereal, which almost looks like Thanatos but seems a little different, we have someone saying, "Your friends beyond saving, Sniper." Obviously talking to Trigger, because that's the only Sniper that we really know in this version. The same person immediately then says, "Silver Company's revival is imminent," which implies in some way that the revival of Silver Company is something that is in the way of Trigger's friend being saved. Potentially they're talking about Soldier 11. That's the only person we know that Trigger is like affiliated with. But the question of why someone being beyond saving is connected to the revival of Silver Company is unclear to me. But as we have this being said, we have Anby facing two powerful ethereals at once, flanked on both sides. Obviously outnumbered, and it's not exactly clear if she's outmatched. But regardless, it's a tense moment. And we then have someone, which I'm terrible with voices, so I can't quite place who this is, but I don't think it's Soldier 11 or Trigger. It might be, though. I'm just horrible with voices and only just heard Trigger's voice for the first time earlier. Someone's saying that this isn't right, talking about the potential revival of some old technology. Perhaps it has to do with the origins of Silver Company, seeing as there's theories about Anby and Soldier 11 being in some way either like clones or otherwise altered to be more powerful soldiers. So potentially this is talking about reviving either the cloning technology or human experimentation enhancement technology, whatever it may be. Potentially it's talking about that, and the reason it isn't right is because it's just inhumane. But alongside this, they also are bringing up the fact that if someone wanted to revive the old technology, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. And potentially that's what's not right about it, is just the fact that they are being way too heavy-handed about this, and the they in this case, I imagine, based on the visuals we're getting, is either the Defense Force or some similar group that is just being way too heavy-handed and aggressive about whatever they're doing, for some reason. Then we have a line from Anby, obviously about Soldier 11, because as she's saying this, Soldier 11 is jumping down to stand back-to-back with Anby to face these two ethereals, where Anby says, "We are sisters in a way," giving credence to either them literally being clones, or perhaps in that more just militaristic camaraderie sense of, we have lived together, we have fought together, we have watched people die together, and that makes us family type thing. I feel like realistically it's one of the two, or some blend of them, realistically. And continuing that line, Anby is literally asking her for help, saying, "I don't want to lose anything or anyone important to me again," which could mean a few things. Either it's implying that people from the Cunning Hares are in danger and Anby needs help to save them, or us potentially. It's entirely possible that we're in danger, or perhaps in a sort of stranger interpretation, it could be that Soldier 11 is in trouble, potentially implied by the line of Anby's duty is to die in place of Soldier 11. Potentially Soldier 11 is in danger, and Anby is asking Soldier 11 to let her help her, basically. Help me help you type thing. But I don't know, that might be a bit too out there. But either way, I love this shot of them back to back, ready to fight the two ethereals. It's really cool to see, and I did not expect to get anything like this early. And while we're getting just a show of Anby's new kit, we have some insane lines from her. "Our very existence is evil." What that exactly means, I'm not entirely sure, but I can think of a few things. One, they could be talking in the sense of, we have done horrible things. We were soldiers and we followed orders no matter how horrible. Therefore, our very existence is the continuance of the evil actions we have done. Or alternatively, it could be talking about the fact that whatever made them into what they are, whatever kind of experiments or cloning or whatever might have happened, if that is truly the case, what enabled their creation is evil. Potentially if it's like cloning or something, maybe the original person who has been cloned has been horribly mistreated and maybe even like disfigured to enable the cloning process. But that's just sort of throwing out wild theories, because this is simultaneously a really cool and hard line, but also incredibly vague. And the line that follows it up sort of works for either of those interpretations still, as Anby says, "But we don't have to become the mistake they made us to be." So obviously if they are literally clones or super soldiers or whatever, it is the implication that they were turned into super soldiers or cloned to be soldiers or whatever exactly happened, and that is a mistake. People should not be made into weapons. but they don't have to be that. No matter how they were created or changed, they don't need to live the way that they were made to. And on the other side, if it is just they were trained to be soldiers and trained to be tools of war and potentially have done horrible things, this is similarly Anby saying, we may have done horrible things in the past or have been trained to do horrible things, but that does not mean we can't do other things. And she finishes by saying, Silver Company's legacy ends with me, which basically just paints everything here towards the idea that the revival of Silver Company is something that is bad, something that Anby wants to stop, and leads into probably the main antagonist of, at the very least, this piece of storyline being behind the revival of Silver Company. Then we have someone saying that the Exaltists are plotting an attack. I have no idea who the Exaltists are, but it is paired with this insane visual of what looks like some kind of ethereal storm almost. I don't even know what's happening, but I'm guessing that this is in a hollow based on all of the ethereal stuff going on here. And there's also this thing here, which almost looks like an eye, but very clearly is an ethereal core or something similar, but I'm not entirely sure what this thing is. And continuing with that previous statement, they say, if they succeed, all of us will, but then they're cut off. And with that visual, we have Pultra appearing, her like one appearance in the trailer. They had to show her. Makes sense though that they don't show her too much, because I honestly don't know how she could fit into all of this other stuff we have, plot-wise. But having that last line cut off and having that brief show of Pultra, we then shift over to Trigger, who realistically I know basically nothing about her actual personality or character, and therefore these series of lines actually serve as a fairly intriguing glance into that character. She says the departed didn't leave us wounded, or with a heavy cross to bear, but with a melody, which is very interesting. It's a bit more poetic than I expected from her. It implies that she has a lot of fallen comrades as well, but her view on it isn't that it is a burden or cross to bear are gone. They haven't left her with that burden, but rather they have left a melody, as she says. And what that melody is sort of hard to say, but it speaks to me to this idea, especially with this next line that I'll get to in a moment, that they didn't leave us burdened, they left us with motivation, with something to be passionate about, something to move towards, potentially a goal even. And she concludes that little statement by saying, let the wind be the opening notes, as she shoots her gun, which once again makes me think that she is motivated by the death of her comrades, not burdened by it. Or at the very least, she wants to believe that to be the case. We very well might see Trigger seeking vengeance, or at the very least in some way motivated by the losses she has experienced. And as we see her ult, she says, as a sniper, you have failed in your duty, implying that there's a second sniper somewhere in here. Potentially, if we get a Trigger agent story, maybe it will have a bit of a sniper battle type thing going on, a rival sniper or something, and she's calling them out on having failed in that duty, whatever that duty she believes is. And then we go into a really cool fight scene that we cut between a few shots of, as someone says, fear, suffering, despair, but then is replaced with a different voice that says, enjoy. So though it is clearly two people talking, whether or not it is intentional, it almost creates this full statement of, enjoy the pain and suffering and despair that you have, or potentially that I am granting you. It has this sinister feeling to it. And at the same time as this, we have the appearance of Hugo, who I am utterly shocked that we see here. I did not expect for this explicit an appearance of Mockingbird this quickly. I know that in all likelihood he's probably next version, but it's sort of surprising how much we're getting of him. And during this time we have someone saying that this is not exactly new Eridu tech, something from the old city, potentially talking about the same tech that wanted to be revived earlier on. And what equally surprises me is Lycon's appearance here. It makes plenty of sense. If Mockingbird appears, he will appear too, but it is just surprising that we're potentially getting into this so quickly. And then we have a line from Anby, which points to the fact that more than we even thought, this version's story is gonna be big plot-wise, because she brings up the sacrifice. She says, stay alert, the sacrifice might wake up soon. So we're going to get more on the sacrifice, more on that plot. And as we build up towards the end of the trailer, we have someone saying, you honestly believe you stand a chance against all of Tops? It seems like Tops very well might be a major player here, in this version, potentially even the antagonist, seeing as people from TOPS haven't necessarily been painted in the best light prior to now. And then finishing out the trailer, we have Vivian, who I think is also speaking, saying, if the world's destined to be destroyed, if the ending could be rewritten, what would you be willing to give up? If the world is destined for destruction, but you had the capacity to rewrite that fate, what would you give up for it? To save the world, what are you willing to sacrifice? That is the question. And potentially that is an honest question, but it very easily could also be a rhetorical one. If we're here meeting Vivian and Hugo in a more antagonistic position initially, perhaps they are doing things that they believe are necessary to save the world, but otherwise could be seen as horrible or evil acts. And when questioned about this, they retort with the question, hey, if you think you could save the world, would you not be willing to sacrifice for the world to be saved? But that's where they leave us for the trailer, so I'm going to move into the rest of the special program now.
When a hollow grows too unstable for hand to manage,
Too unstable for
will mobilize a
hand.
strike team to swiftly suppress it until they successfully suppress the hollow.
So the defense
and
force
neutralize
is what's
its
called in when
threat.
hand
Sounds
can't
kind
handle
of
it.
brutal.
That tune was very pleasant to the ears. It makes me think of some beautiful memories.
Mm.
Thanks for the compliment. I've heard a similar comment from a squad mate before.
Does
Soldier
this
11,
tune
I
hold a
imagine.
special meaning for you, Miss Trigger?
My former squad leader taught me this melody. It's called Homecoming. It's a piece
Former
I know by
squad
heart.
leader,
Your
huh?
former squad?
Yes. Before the old capital fell, I was once a member of Crystal Barrel Division's Liar Squad.
Oh,
Okay.
So, was it due to a mission with your previous squad that your eyes,
It's okay, Mr. Z. I don't mind talking about it.
Mm.
Indeed, my eyes were corrupted by
wow.
an ethereal's ether beam during a mission. As a result, I lost most of my eyesight. But new abilities were also awakened because of it. In addition, losing my sight heightened my other senses.
So she's a
I
sniper
can
with
pick up the faintest
next to
sounds,
no
smells,
eyesight, but
and
heightened other
vibrations.
senses.
No wonder she could tell how nervous I was.
Weird.
I
Interesting.
heard that, too.
They accepted a mysterious commission, which got them into some serious trouble alongside a blindfolded girl. Was
Oh?
that you, Miss Trigger?
That is indeed the case.
Oh, another
My
sniper.
history with the proxy Phaethon goes back further than you might
So
think.
we already have
For
a
more
past with her
details,
early
Be sure
on.
to check out the agent story, Out of Sight.
Okay, yeah, we're getting the agent
Regardless
story.
of
Makes
her
sense.
past, the trigger in front of us today
Wow.
is part of a new squad now. She remains a reliable and
I
decisive
didn't
sniper
expect
on the
us to have a
battlefield.
connection to
That's
her.
true.
I believe everyone is already familiar with one of our members.
Soldier
she
11.
did not experience the fall of the old capital, nor is she
Hmm.
intending to uncover the truth behind it. And that is the last member to join our squad, Soldier 11.
So she's the newest
Speaking
member,
of
and she
Ms.
didn't
Soldier
experience
11,
the fall of the
I have
old
a
capital.
question I've been dying to ask.
Huh.
And I'm sure every proxy out there has also been wondering about the answer. I gotta ask now. Miss Ambi, why do you and Miss Soldier 11 look so
That's the
similar?
question.
That's because we're sisters.
What?
Is that in the literal
Wait,
sense?
You mean you are blood-related sisters, like same parents and all? Then are you too close?
Well, we're not sisters in
Yeah,
the
that's what I
typical
thought. Not
sense.
typical sisters.
It's a long story. Before I joined the Cunning Hares, Soldier 11 and I were part of the Obsidian Division Silver Squad,
Mhm.
and I was her squad leader.
All right.
Wow. So you
So
were
it's
a
more that
soldier once
camaraderie
and a
thing.
commanding officer, no less.
Yes, this is my old Silver
That's what I
Squad
thought.
uniform.
Makes sense.
Soldier 11's caught up in some trouble and has gone missing. Trigger and
Oh.
I are both worried about her.
Okay.
So we've joined forces on this mission. What started as a search and rescue ends up revealing a deep conspiracy.
Gotta
One
love the
that ties into
conspiracy.
my past, the secrets of Silver Company, and the history between Soldier 11
Nice.
and me.
Certainly
Oh?
an interesting analogy.
Whoa.
Whatever the case, it seems that Soldier
Echoes of
11's
Silver, what is
disappearance
this?
just the beginning of many untold stories. So, if
Uh,
proxies want to find out more, then make
okay,
sure to play
that's
the
just the
agent
art,
story,
cool.
Echoes of Silver, to uncover the truth.
So it's an agent story.
Soldier Zero Ambi is an electric attribute attack
So her
agent
actual
who
official
uses
name is
dual
Soldier
swords
Zero
in
Ambi.
combat.
Okay.
There was a time when I fought to destroy every enemy in my path.
Mm.
Now, I'll use my strength to fight for what really matters.
Protecting
By the way,
people,
that
saving
agile
people.
figure we just saw is actually Miss Polkara. After leaving
Polkara,
Pompey's
okay, I
gang,
guess.
she joined the Sons of Caledon, and is now working under Caesar.
Jumping
Nice.
ship to another faction? That's a mercenary for you.
As a physical attribute stun agent,
Cool to finally get her.
Polka excels in aftershock attacks.
So
coordinating with
Aftershock
her
is the
teammates
official
to
name of
hunt
that,
down
okay.
enemies.
I'm more
With
familiar
enough
with what they were
energy,
called early
press
on in
special
leaks.
attack during this time if the on-field agent hits an enemy with a special attack.
I don't think I've
or
seen her
EX
ult before,
special
that's
attack.
cute.
Polka will Soldier Zero Ambi, on the other hand, has no individual trust
Okay,
events.
interesting.
After all, Soldier Zero Ambi might be the Ambi of the past, but she's still Ambi.
Yep.
Therefore, Soldier Zero Ambi will share trust with Ambi, and rewards will be unlocked for them in sync. In
Okay,
addition,
so if you
Soldier 11's
already
fourth
have
trust
all of the
level
trust
will
with
be available
Ambi, you
this
get
version.
Soldier
Next, let's
Zero's
take a look
version.
at the new dynamic wallpapers you can unlock.
Oh, did Soldier 11 not have one before now?
There's a major auction coming up, and all the most elite members of New
Okay.
Eridan will be in attendance. People from all different factions are gearing up for it.
Is there something extraordinary up for grabs or what?
Absolutely.
Is this
Get
where
this.
Mockingbird comes in?
Rumor has it, one of the items is linked to secrets behind the sacrifice.
Ooh.
Specifically, the
Who are these
sacrifice
people?
that proxies took down at the construction site.
Sounds
Okay.
suspicious.
Now you're catching on. So, in the main story of version 1.6,
All right, so this is the main
Proxies will be
story.
commissioned to participate in the auction and secure that suspicious item.
Our proxies
Interesting.
do have plenty of
Ooh, I
experience
like that
with
art.
hollow commissions, but bidding in a high society auction? Is that really feasible? After all, even just paying electricity bills for the video store can be a
Interesting that
It'll
the
be fine.
Anby stuff
The
is
person
actually
behind this
just her
commission
own
is quite
story.
Powerful. He is none other than the true benefactor of Victoria
Oh.
Housekeeping, the mayor of New
The
Eridan.
mayor is the person
So
behind
finances should
Victoria
be the least of our
Housekeeping?
proxy's concerns.
Wow, that's
Okay.
a serious backer. This could be a real turning point for proxies.
On
Yeah.
top of that, with the mayor's help, proxies will regain some of their original powers.
What does that
This
mean?
is all part of this new story.
What do you mean original
Sounds like we've got
powers?
this auction in the bag.
Not necessarily. As I mentioned before, it's going to be a battleground for different factions.
I take it Mockingbird
Apart from
tries
our
to steal it.
proxies and their employer, some famed families from Tops, and even New Eridu's most infamous Phantom Thieves
Yeah.
syndicate, Mockingbird, will all be in attendance.
Yep,
Wait, Mockingbird?
makes
I've
sense.
heard of them.
There are some newcomers you may want to check out.
Yeah,
Such as the collector who's giving proxies an auction invite.
okay.
Hugo.
Ooh, so
I've heard
Hugo
gossip
is
that
the
this
collector.
charming
Really?
blonde has
Okay.
a complicated past with Mr. Lycon from Victoria
That's not what I
Housekeeping.
expected.
They did some real crazy stuff together before, but then, for some reason, they split up and are now enemies.
Yeah.
Apart from Hugo, proxies will also encounter a mysterious
Yep.
young lady at the auction, Miss Vivian.
Yeah, okay.
She's regal and elegant, but talks in riddles. So enigmatic.
So, are they friend or foe?
What
Maybe a bit
are
of both?
Hugo and
First is Hollow Zero.
Ooh, more
Crisis
Hollow Zero
brought by
content.
Geppetto.
All
As one
right.
of the most terrifying symbiotic ethereals, Geppetto's attacks are
Ooh.
agile and unpredictable. The beast
Interesting.
that once controlled other ethereals has become a puppet.
New Hollow Zero
dancing on the
box.
strings of the Hollow. Agents can
Cool.
focus their
Furthermore, the Hollow Zero investigation team has added new exclusive gear for
Ooh,
Evelyn, Asriel,
Evelyn,
Jane,
Astra,
and
Jane, and
Corin.
Corin.
Some of this gear can even
Interesting.
alter agent
I like to
skills,
see that.
such as
They
Asriel's
gave
new
Astra
ranged
a
attack
laser.
and Corin's chainsaw charge attack.
In the new version, a new gameplay mode will also be added.
And a
for
new
Hollow
gameplay mode,
Zero's
okay.
Shadow operation.
During Trigger's limited time TV schedule event, there will be a new shooting range gameplay mode.
In the
Ooh,
shooting
new mini
range,
game.
Trigger is, as ever, a reliable sniper.
That's fun.
able to switch between
Oh, I like
swooping
that.
and
Combat in this stream will be
Oh.
top-down, and Tali will no longer simply be an assistant. to
Interesting.
agents, but the
A
main
top-down
fighting force,
mode?
raining fire
providing
God, they're
it
being
with
so
more
creative with all of these
powerful
modes.
stories for
Mm.
Ambi and Polkra. They'll be here soon.
Ooh,
so stay tuned,
intermission
proxies.
TV for
As for
Pulchra,
Trigger,
character demo,
you'll hear more
character
of her
teaser.
stories
Okay.
in the future. So keep an eye on our official channel.
Interesting that we don't
Well,
have an
it's getting
image
late.
for
I
that
need to go
teaser.
make prep-
Bye-bye.
Cool. That's really awesome. We stay winning in Zenless. So much content, so much story content at that. Oh, I love that. That's really cool. I'm quite excited for this. I cannot wait for this to release. But beyond that, I don't have necessarily too much to say, so I'll leave it there. Before I go, though, for those who are eagerly waiting for my Apothecary Diaries reactions to come out. I am still working on that. It should still come out today. It just might be a little later than I intended. Believe it or not, when you record for 2.5 hours, it takes a while to edit that down, but that should still be coming later today. So with that, feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all have a great day.